Hey everybody, it's Harry Joyner with ecommercerecruiter.com and CMOsearch.com. How the hell are you? Awesome. Some of you know this, some of you don't. During the pandemic, I started a coaching group over at NEXTgig.com. Right now, that cohort is running over on the school platform. I would encourage you to join if you're a senior marketer or e-commerce marketer in transition. We're over there every Tuesday and Thursday right now. It's like a job search AMA for people in transition. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think people have gotten a lot out of it. So tomorrow afternoon, I've got a coaching call scheduled with a buddy of mine who, until about 9 months ago, was a senior marketer with a Fortune 500 retailer. And he lost his job in a layoff. Stuff happens. What are you going to do? And like so many senior executives, he took the first 30 to 60 days. He was like, I'm going to wait for the phone to ring and I'm going to, take some time off. I'm going to go to the beach, get my head together, and then I'll throw myself into my job search. By 30 days, somebody will have called. Nobody called, right? So from 31 to 60, he was kind of like low key, anxiously waiting for the phone to ring. Nobody called. And by, I would say, 60 to 90 days, he realized that his job search was going to be a mess, that it was going to be hand-to-hand combat. You people watching, you know what this is all about. It's not easy for anybody out there. And so now the guy's been on the market for between, let's call it 6 and 9 months. And he's like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Should I just go start my career as a fractional or interim or consultant or coach or what have you? Or should I continue to look for a full-time job? Like, what should I do? So one of the things I'm going to step him through tomorrow is this matrix that I made about how to think about the problem that you solve and who has that type of problem, and basically mapping yourself to a problem in an organization, not necessarily mapping yourself to a job title. Because a lot of people go, I'm a CMO, I'm a VP of e-commerce. And it's like, well, sometimes there are problems that are e-commerce problems and you could solve them, but you're so busy thinking of yourself in terms of a title that you don't necessarily think about what the client actually needs. So this is how senior executives should use this 2x2 when they're in transition, whether you're 1099 or W2. This grid, by the way, isn't really about theory. It's about identifying where your skill meets a company's actual need. Okay, on the vertical axis, you've got at the top here, the company is problem aware. So they know something is wrong. And at the bottom, they're solution aware. They already believe they know what they need. This is RFP territory. And on the left, you see this is a situational issue. It's temporary, it's acute, it's fixable. And on the right, it's ongoing, right? It's kind of chronic. It's a structural, systemic, embedded thing. And let's see how this applies to you. So quadrant 1 up here, these are people who are problem aware and it's a situational thing. And this is a company that knows they have a marketing issue and it's acute, right? So revenue dropped, or their Facebook performance tanked, or their Amazon rankings slipped, or the CMO just left. So they're in pain. They know they're in pain. They don't necessarily think that their model is broken, but they don't need you to come in and convince them that they're in any pain. So for you as an executive in transition, this is a classic 1099 deal. This is interim work. This is advisory stuff. You come in as a stabilizer, right? The company doesn't want culture transformation, for example. They just want the bleeding to stop, which is a really good thing. Because in those situations, what you do is measurable, objective, relevant to you, and controllable by you. And it's really easy, by the way, to tie your rate and your value to situations like this. It's like, how bad do you hurt? Okay, well, the worse you hurt, conceivably, the higher my price could be. So I would say if you want to sell long-term vision here, you're going to miss the deal. You got to sell speed, you got to sell triage, you got to sell clarity, but you should also understand, right, that this rarely turns into a W2 thing unless the problem proves deeper than they think. And that happens. Like, we often see clients that think they want something and they start out on an executive search and they don't get what they need because they didn't really understand their own need. Okay. Quadrant number 2. This is somebody who's solution aware and it's a situational thing. So this is kind of an interesting one. The company thinks they know the answer, right? We need better paid media, We need lifecycle marketing. We need a conversion rate optimization person. We need a growth hacker. You hear that a lot. So they've already diagnosed it. And with some founder CEOs, it's like, you ever heard the expression often wrong and never in doubt? And so if you simply plug into their predefined solution, then you're going to become a commodity. I need somebody with 5 years of paid search experience. They think they know what they want and they write that into the spec, and the spec is designed to flatten out your differentiation. And this is a short-term contract deal at best. And if you're pursuing 1099 and that's your jam and that's what you do, that, strictly speaking, like this can work, but it's only going to work if you reframe the problem, I would say, in the first 90 days. Otherwise, it's just going to be labor. And that's going to suck. It's not going to be very gratifying for you. For senior executives, this quadrant rarely produces meaningful W-2 roles. So if you're looking for any of these roles to convert to a W-2 thing, I would say you're probably kidding yourself. Okay, quadrant 3, let's talk about this. So this is somebody whose problem awareness is an ongoing thing. Okay, so this is like where it starts getting a little bit serious. These are the companies that know they have a persistent issue. Churn has been high for a year, let's say, and they haven't been able to solve it, right? Or customer acquisition costs keep rising, or the brand lacks differentiation, or the marketing and operations are misaligned, and there's like a structural drag, and you can feel it in the organization, or they don't know the solution. And this is where senior marketing executives actually create enterprise value. And this is a quadrant. It's often diagnosed as 1099 advisory work, but it's actually like a W-2 opportunity in disguise, right? Well, why is that? Well, because structural problems require structural authority. Let me repeat that. Structural problems require structural authority. Basically, you can't fix a systemic CAC issue or a systemic retention issue or brand positioning from the outside without decision rights, right? It's like I say, it's got to be MORC, measurable, objective, relevant to you, and controllable by you. You have to have control. But like a buck has to stop with you in the organization. And if you find yourself repeatedly advising companies in this quadrant, then you really got to ask yourself, like, am I renting my brain? Sometimes I feel like I'm renting my brain, which I feel sorry for people when I think that, but it's like, am I renting my brain or should I own the P&L? I personally, like, if I were you, I mean, you could do what you want, but I'd rather own the P&L because that's where the product market fit for a W-2 role often exists. Okay, last one, and then I'm going to shut up here. Quadrant 4. Right? This is a solution aware, ongoing thing, and this is rare. It's powerful. This is a company who understands the structural challenge and they believe in a long-term operating model. And they don't just say, we need growth, right? That's not what they say. They say, we need to build a life cycle system that increases LTV by 20%. Or we need to restructure pricing to expand gross margin. We need to reposition into a new category, something like that. And this is an executive alignment thing, but the organization is ready to go along with that. Like they are prepared to believe that you can be a load-bearing wall in their organization. And, a lot of times in the best cases, there's like a board level mandate, right? And this is the environment, I think, based on my experience, where elite CMOs can thrive, right? So if you're interviewing for a W-2 role, right, and they're in quadrant 4, then I would say you found real product market fit and you're on your way and it's a good situation. So these are things that you need to think about if you find yourself in that zone in your job search where you're not sure whether you should be a full-time W-2 or a full-time 1099. There's always a time, right, and it's usually with middle-aged people who've got some success under their belt. It's like, okay, I've done 15 years very successfully as a client-side VP, and I'm between jobs. the market is a shit show right now. I can't get anybody to call me. What do I do? Do I want to hang up my own shingle and be a fractional and an interim? And do I want to go be, a gunslinger? Well, I'm a gunslinger. I wouldn't change it for the world, right? And I wake up broke every day. And it's awesome. And I couldn't handle a full-time job. I have to do this. So like I'm in the right headspace for this. And for you to really make that transition into the right headspace, right, you need to know what problem you solve and what kind of headspace your client is in and the client's organization is in as you go target those people who cannot or will not solve the problem themselves, right? And then you have to build something that they want, and then you have to sell the offer, not the product, and there can't be any abstractions. But that's a story for a different day. Anyway, my name is Harry Joyner, like join the army, Joiner. I would welcome you to come join my coaching group over at NEXTgig.com. I hope you guys are doing great, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.